What is up YouTube, it is Matty and welcome to this video where we take a look at using Loons in conjunction with Valkyrie attacks. So as you guys know, Th10 and Th11 have the majority of attacks in Clan Wars are all about sort of Valk raids, Valk heavy armies, and it's all about what you can, a lot of Valk raids, if you just throw like 20-25 Valks into a base without any rhyme or reason, that it's probably going to fail. Some bases are asking to be mass Valks, don't get me wrong, but for the majority, and particularly on anti-3-star designs, you can't really just do that. So often you need to add in a few extra sort of features to the raid. For example, queen walking, very common in conjunction with in conjunction with Valkyrie raids. So you can do a queen walk into like a mass Valk. But more common than that, you often get backend balloons or backend hog riders, and they are just to try and take out the final defenses. So this video is about when really do you use backend loons, and when do you use backend, and when do you use backend hogs. More focusing on the loon side, but we can discuss both. I think the best way to do this is just to show a couple of videos, and the first one we're going to look at is by Half Size Nico. And it's on against, obviously in the Mad Town War, they were anti-3-star base layouts for the most part. So let's have a little look at the first attack. So I'll pause here. Not huge on the hero levels for Nico, 40 and 31. I think I'm 40 and 34. As soon as you turn 10 or 10, you're going to want to get your queen up to 40 because her walks become so much more potent. But you can see it's a straightforward attack. There is no walk happening, and actually if you look at this base, when you scout it, you can see, because there's a gap between, say, that cannon and that arch tower, you can see the gap there between the defences, and in fact in all four major quadrants on the external, there's always that gap. It means that the queen can't reach that defence. So because in each of those compartments there's only one available defence and 3 unavailable defences, it seems really pointless to try a queen walk because the value she's going to get is next to nothing. The biggest value you can get often from a queen walk is actually taking care of the clan castle troops, but if you use good poisons and you're careful on your hit, you can often dodge. You don't need to, it depends what's in the CC, I guess, but for this one, queen walk really didn't make sense. But what you need to look for in these bases when you're using backend loons is, what's the biggest threat to loons? It's air defences. So typically you're going to the bases where backend loons are most effective are going to be ones where you can get most of the air defences down with the kill squad or with the Valk attack. And you can see here 4 air defences relatively close to the core. It's just basically asking for backend loons. So I'm going to hit play on the attack and we can have a little look and judge at how it goes down. When you're not walking, it's quite common to use golems to help your funnel. They're really straightforward to use. You can see they're just going to tank those defences, and in fact loads of Valkyries come out from the clan castle. And I haven't seen a poison spell go down yet. I'm guessing he didn't expect it. I would have definitely dropped a poison to try and help with the golem's HP there. But you can see jump spell down, funnel created, and all those Valkyries are in now. And now it's just a case of using rage and heal and another jump spell to get right through that core of the base, get it all down. And again, no no poison spell used on any of those skelly traps. So clearly Nico's he's just not bothered. But here we go, look, with the raid now, the majority of the raid is done. Anything that's going to happen now is going to be down to luck, really, but using these extra loons, he's been able to take at least 4 or 5 of those defences down. Going to potentially move on to 6 or 7 as the loons move through to the back end of the base. And this is why they're so potent. I would have even considered potentially more loons on this base. Just because the air defences were so centralized, it made sense to use loons to try and clean up. And you can see you got Valkyries running around the edge of the base here, and he just keeps getting extra value from every defence that goes down, and it just means less work for the heroes, less damage going on to the Valkyries. It just makes sense. So I suppose lesson number 1: when the base is has those centralized air defenses, it's almost like a quick prompt to think, I better carry some backend loons because it's going to really help me out when it comes to the final stages of the raid. And in fact, Nico was able to go ahead and get the 3-star from this attack with the Queen's ability in check still. He's going to use that a good time to take down the Tesla and get the 3-star. So, great hit there. Next one we're going to show is number 15. Let's have a little look, by Valks. So, similar sort of design. On this one you can see you've got some extra point defences, whereas on the last base there were mortars in the corner, and this time you got the point defence. So for example, if you were to walk from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you're going to get an arch tower, a wizard tower, a cannon, and then an additional arch tower. So that's 4 point defense. Unless he breaks in, at which point, if you're gonna break in during a walk, you have to look at the Inferno Tower radius. And classic base design here, where pretty much 80% of the compartments you break into, you're going to get hit by an Inferno beam, and that's probably going to result in your Queen's death. So it's just risk. But let's have a look at the walk he does. So combining a Queen walk in with the Valkyries, and obviously room for some back-end loons. Not as much. The army comp would have been a lot tighter whenever you are adding a walk. Typically it's for 4 healers anyway, which, as you know, is 56 troop space. So that works out to like 11 loons by itself. So Queen walk in one part. The good thing about when you do a Queen walk is you should be able to pull and lure the CC out, but doesn't use the true advantage of doing a Queen walk here, and could have got that CC taken down by the Queen. At least I would have. But using the walk to move the Queen into the kill squad, this is where this walk's going to really pay off. Watch these healers now. They actually switch target from the Queen and they move up towards the Valkyries, the Golem, and they're going to add a little bit of value here. Watch what's happening. You can see Valkyries are actually regaining health, and they're going to really help out with taking down the final buildings. Got some back-end loons coming in to help out. So the added bonus you can get with Queen walks is when the Queen does die, if she dies, even if she doesn't die, sometimes the healers do switch target, and it can end up helping you in more ways than one towards the back end of the raid. Loons, again, because those air defences were relatively centralised, just using loons to focus on the exposed point defences, it makes sense. It gets them down quickly. Loons have got quite good HP. Obviously their biggest thing is they're slow, so even potentially carrying a poison spell, one less poison spell and a haste spell could come in handy. Used an earthquake instead. I'd have potentially used a haste spell if I'm taking back end loons, so it's something else to think about. Next one I'm going to show is by Jake. So let's have a quick look at this base. Town Hall 11 tick. No eagle artillery, so it's a 10.5. And let's have a look at Jake's army. So he's got 12 loons, quite heavy. 18 Valkyries, so yeah, it's a pretty heavy raid. No Queen walk, so let's have a look at the actual outer layer. And looking at it, he could have got quite a good bit of value from the outer layer. I think the biggest risk of this is that the expo positioning meant that he was always going to have an expo on him wherever he walked, really, unless it was sort of at 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I guess. Could have taken down the king, but for the most part, particularly with the expo position by the warden there, it would have just resulted in too many rage spells, and I would have probably not got the 3-star. So because of that, clear decision to use earthquake firstly to open up the base, and a jump spell to get further through the base, and no Queen walk. One key thing to note about Jake's attack is that he hasn't got any poison spells, so he's going to be dealing with the CC on the fly. Also, look at the position he does his earthquake and his entry point. So you'll actually find that the earthquake is down the south side of the base, using a few minions to funnel first. If you can use minions to funnel, it's going to help your troop space. But look at the earthquake position right down the bottom of the base, and if you look at the air defences, 3 of them are quite accessible, and the most difficult to get from that earthquake spot is probably the side he's attacking from. So with a centralized golem in the CC, wizards to already sort of create that huge funnel, and already the path has been set, so he's going to break down the first 2 layers no problem. Valks, if you remember, they're very good at breaking walls, so watch how they melt those, firstly those first defences, and watch how they melt this wall now, particularly under rage spell. It's gone. Rage is down, jump spell is down, and an additional rage spell probably going to be used towards that second Inferno tower, I would have thought. There it is, look, and with that now gone, the Valks have got free access to pretty much push through the rest of the base. And look, with the Loons already down on the western side of the base, he's already taken down a load of defences. Valks and King moving up towards the final air defence now, but with so many Loons just adding that extra value, helping take those defences down, this base, this raid was an absolute massacre. Has got quite a lot of trash buildings to take down on the western side of the base where that minion is, but the troops will push back and take it down. Unfortunately got the hound explosion towards the back end there, but Loons can add massive value, particularly if you can find a way to take down the majority of the air defences. In some scenarios, even if air defences are quite widely spread, you can still find point defences that you can take down at the start or the end of the raid. In fact, the one last thing I'll show you, on my attack on number 10, I used Loons in a little bit of a different way and actually ended up using them at the start of the raid. So you can see with 2 Loons on those arch towers, and I ended up with using 2 Loons on these cannons down the bottom side after I'd sort of pulled the CC there to try and get them down. I did fail on the left and I did fail on one of those arch towers, but yeah, live and learn. But then again, it was definitely worth an attempt to take those defences down before the start, because then they're just going to do no damage during the rest of the raid. Loons can add huge value to your attacks. It all comes down to base design, and sort of don't forget them. And all I'm trying to say is, if you see a base with centralized air defences, it might automatically get you thinking it's a good option to add in some Loons with my Valkyries to try and secure myself that 3-star. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Peace.